Hi there YouTube, XtremeTrainz here. So, you can see in front of me something from the brand new Trackmaster Push-Along 2019 line, which is Rebecca, Push-Along Rebecca. Now, a lot of people had a lot of thoughts about Rebecca and Nia, and I think of the two characters introduced, Rebecca is far more interesting, far more fun, and also one I was quite keen to collect. Although, I will preface this by saying I didn't have a problem particularly with either Nia or Rebecca. But, that said, I've got in front of me the first version of this in a kind of collectible form that I've seen. I know they're doing a minis version, which has also caused more controversy, which has not yet arrived in Australia. And there's also a Thomas Wood version, which I'll probably collect at some point. But given this is the first version this character I could pick up, I picked it up. So what are we waiting for? Let's have a look at the new Trackmaster Push-Along 2019 Rebecca. What are we waiting for? Let's do it. So this is the first look on my channel of the way these new Trackmaster engines are packaged. Now, if you're aware of how Trackmaster engines are packaged, it is incredibly similar. You've got the same logo up the top here, you've got the same kind of cloud motif with the engine in that red circle with a picture of them in the corner, which I think is good, and this kind of detailing down the side. So they're really making this hard for poor old parents who want to buy these for their children, or friends or family, because the packaging even for Trackmaster Push-Along is very similar, and the only things you can make it really tell that it's a push-along engine, aside from the fact that if I look at it, I know it can't have batteries, but maybe if you're a parent who doesn't buy it very often, or a grandparent who wants to surprise a child, you don't know that. The only thing that tells you that is the push-along logo on the top here and the metal engine on the side. But again, both of these could mean that the engine is battery powered too, and it's a bit unclear to me, especially if you've heard of Trackmaster, and because Trackmaster has, for the last, over 10 years it's been in existence, meant battery powered trains. So, if you turn around the back, you can see the other engines available. I did see all of these other engines available on the rack when I picked up Rebecca, but given how ugly these are and how I don't collect Trackmaster Push-Along, I didn't want to pick them up. I really just want Rebecca because I'm interested to see her as a character. The other thing you get here is this little clue here, which is really the only other thing that tells you that these engines are actually not powered, and there are other ones that are powered if you're looking for those. So yeah, I think this is very, very confusing, very stupid packaging. Really not a fan of the branding decision they've made here. It's very confusing for parents. That said, she looks good in the packaging. Let's take her out and have a look. Alright, so here is Rebecca out of her packaging. Now, all the tender engines for this series, in the same way as all the Trackmaster engines, use the same chassis, is the same system implemented here. Same for Thomas Wood now, they're all standardized. So, the size of this chassis is going to be the same regardless of which tender engine you pick up. So let's have a look at first her face. I think the face on this is really good. It captures Rebecca. I think she looks maybe a little bit confused. Like, it's usually a happy face they go for on Thomas and Friends merchandise. Sometimes if it's like Diesel 10 or Diesel, they'll let you put a grumpy face on there. But usually the standard face is quite happy. I think this one is a little bit confused. But that's okay. Rebecca, as if you've seen any of season 22 she's in, she's a bit confused, she gets a bit lost, and she's always trying to do something better, not quite sure what's going on. So I think that actually fits her character, although I'm not sure about that design choice. In terms of the detailing on the front, heaps of model detail, all of this could be picked out in black. Surprise, surprise, it's not. She does have the headlamp though picked out, which is nice. Come around to the side, you have a decent amount of rivet detail. Interestingly, I think it's quite strange. You can see there's some rivet detail across the top here and along the side, but then these grey ones are like printed on rivet details, which is a bit strange, but okay. Does capture her streamlined shape quite nicely, including her little smoke deflector things. You can see the word Rebecca's written there, got the nice stripes, number 22. The undercarriage is garbage, as with all of these Trackmaster Push-Alongs, although, because Rebecca is a very big engine, this doesn't look the worst. She doesn't look too big, or like these wheels don't look too big for her, because she is a really big engine, and the same from the front, because she's a big engine, the really wide wheelbase that Trackmaster Push-Along has, also I don't think looks too silly with her. So, as much as I don't like it, it doesn't look as bad, or anywhere near as bad as it does for some other engines. Come around on the back, nothing. Other side, exactly the same. On top, you've got, again, a little bit more detail. I'm really glad they did stuff like, her funnel is in there, and they've actually recessed it where they could have just, made it flat, but they did actually take a little bit out, so you can see where the smoke would come out of her chimney. Not much there on the bottom. You've got the name, you've got some licensing info. And again, the only part that's metal is this bit along the top here, and it's a very thin metal. These engines are really light. Considering they're die-cast metal, like, you know, a Thomas Wood engine is far heavier than these ones are. And then we come to the tender, which is all plastic. Only this part, this top half of her is metal. This is all plastic. Again, all the tenders on these new engines are the same. There you go, you've got Rebecca written there, which, you know, they used to say Rebecca's tender, like an engine's tender, but no, just Rebecca. So apparently this is also Rebecca. Interesting. They've actually captured the design of her tender quite nicely in such a miniaturized form with the running board on the bottom, printing there, good. This detailing on the top here, even with the coal. So I think the tender actually looks pretty decent. Well, it's just very miniaturized and very smushed. As you can see, you've got the new coupling system, again with the hook on the front and the loopy thing on the back. We just have to couple these up like so. And it does make a pretty firm connection. It does not feel as sturdy as the clip connectors from Trackmaster, or Thomas's Adventures. See, I'm getting confused now. I'm the reviewer. How embarrassing. But she does go together like that, and it is a decent connection. So you can see, yep, rolls all right. Again, she doesn't look too bad. And again, because she's such a big engine, and these lines have always had kind of smushed up tenders, I don't really think the proportions of her and her tender are too bad either. I actually think she looks, you know, pretty respectable, to be honest, in terms of a rough kind of scale. Once you acknowledge that these lines are definitely not to scale. If we take a look at her and put her next to the only other push-along engine I've got, which is the Thomas, which came from that starter set. If you want to see my thoughts about that, check out that video. You can see that, again, she's, at least unlike in Thomas Wood, where all the engine's bodies are the same, we at least have two different size bodies in this line. You've got the kind of the tank engine body, which is given to like Thomas, Percy, Diesel, Rosie, and then you have the tender engine body, which is given to like James, Gordon, Rebecca, Merlin, and stuff like that. So it is at least good that there is a pretty sizable size difference between these two. Obviously nothing compared to what it should be in the show. But at least, yeah, there is a size difference. You know, Thomas is definitely smaller, especially when you line them up like that, than Rebecca, which is good, because he should be. That's the point of him being the little tank engine of Sodor. So, what do I think about this Rebecca? Considering it's the first model of her I've got in hand, I think she's a really nice looking model. I think yellow is a really good color. I think she's got some really good design. I like she's got a bit of a different design. She's got the contrasting of the kind of the metal along the top, the metal color, and then this little bit of striping on the side. I said I liked her as a character. I thought she was interesting and kind of has a lot of potential. Nice to see some more big tender engines on Sodor. Yeah, so as a toy, I think this is fine. It suffers from all the same problems that the Trackmaster Push-Along line suffers from as a whole, although I must say I think she pulls it off a lot better than a lot of the other engines do. For example, James looks awful because he's way too big and stretched out, whereas I think because Rebecca is so big already, she doesn't look too bad. The last thing to note is in Australia, I paid $9 for this. Is it worth $9? That's up to you to decide. They didn't have any of the small Trackmaster Push-Along, so I couldn't compare how much of those cost, unfortunately. But these, at full retail price for a small Thomas Wood engine, was about 12 to 15, depending on where you bought them from in Australia. And they haven't appeared, the new versions haven't appeared in stores in Australia, but on Amazon, they're about $16 to $17 for a small engine and about $25 to $26 for a large engine, which is the price that they used to be before Thomas Wood happened in Thomas Wood and Railway Day. So the long and short of it is these are definitely cheaper than Thomas Wood. They're definitely cheaper than the Trackmaster Motorized, which in Australia is about $15 to $20 for an engine. But yeah, look, again, I don't have a problem with these per se. I think they're okay. I just think Adventures was far superior, and it is still unclear to me why we had to change all this stuff. Because, as someone correctly pointed out in the comments, there is already track that works for Trackmaster and Adventures and Thomas Wood, which is included in the Superstation, and if they want to change the track system, they could have just done that, instead of changing the engines, which makes no sense to me. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Rebecca. I'd love to know your thoughts about Rebecca, about this line as a whole, if you like. Yeah, that sounds really exciting. Really look forward to hearing it. The other fun little note before I go is that I know some engines have this, but it seems like these are backwards, like the buffers are on the front when they should be on the back. I don't know if that's just my copy or if it's lots of them. So yeah, great work and tell. Good quality control, good design. Love your work. Alright, that's all I've got time for on this video. It's already gone for way too long for one engine. Thanks for watching. Enjoy those cool things you do on YouTube. This is XtremeTrainz.